My beloved child, there is something I need you to hear today, and I need your full attention because what unfolded during this meaningful conversation was far more important than anyone expected. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The words that were spoken about you were not ordinary words. They were not casual remarks that disappear with time. They carried weight. They carried emotion. They carried a truth that even the people speaking did not fully understand in the moment. There was a gathering of thoughts, a meeting of hearts, and in that conversation your name appeared in a way that surprised everyone involved. At first, it seemed like a simple discussion. Nothing dramatic. Nothing unusual. Just voices exchanging ideas, experiences, and observations. But then something shifted. The atmosphere changed. The focus moved. The attention turned toward you. What happened next is something few people ever experience. One person began describing you. Not your appearance. Not your possessions. Not your achievements. They began describing the effect you have on people. And as they spoke, others became quiet. They listened carefully. Some nodded. Some reflected. Some suddenly remembered moments they had forgotten. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The surprising part was not what they said. The surprising part was how many people agreed. Someone said that you have a way of entering situations and changing the energy without even trying. They spoke about moments when others felt discouraged, uncertain, or ready to give up, yet somehow your presence brought a different perspective. You may not even realize how often this happens. You may think your actions go unnoticed. You may believe your efforts disappear into the background. But during that conversation, story after story began to emerge. One person remembered a time when a simple word from you changed their entire day. Another remembered a moment when you showed kindness without expecting anything in return. Someone else spoke about your ability to continue moving forward even when life became difficult. The room grew quieter. Not because there was nothing to say. Because there was too much to say. And then came a statement nobody expected. A voice from across the conversation said, "I don't think they understand how much they matter." The moment those words were spoken, everything changed. For a few seconds, nobody responded. Not because they disagreed. Because they knew it was true. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. You see, sometimes the greatest surprise is not discovering what people think about you. The greatest surprise is discovering how deeply your impact reaches into places you cannot see. While you have been focused on your challenges, your responsibilities, your goals, and your worries, there have been people quietly observing your strength. While you have been questioning your progress, others have been inspired by your persistence. While you have been wondering whether your efforts matter, others have been using your example as motivation. That meaningful conversation revealed something powerful. People see more in you than you realize. And then another unexpected moment arrived. Someone shared a story about a difficult season in their life. They explained how uncertain they felt. They described confusion, disappointment, and frustration. As they spoke, everyone listened carefully. Then they mentioned you. They explained that during one of their lowest moments, they remembered something you once said. Not a speech. Not a grand lesson. Just a simple statement. Yet that statement stayed with them for months. It helped them keep moving. It helped them keep believing. It helped them refuse to quit. The room became emotional. Because nobody expected such a small moment to have such a lasting effect. And that is when a realization began spreading through the conversation. You have been planting seeds in people's lives without knowing it. Seeds of hope. Seeds of encouragement. Seeds of confidence. Seeds of possibility. Do not skip. Because the next revelation was even more surprising. One individual who rarely speaks during group discussions finally decided to share their thoughts. Everyone turned toward them. They spoke slowly, carefully, honestly. And what they said changed the entire direction of the conversation. They said that whenever your name comes up, people tend to focus on what you do. But they believed the real story was who you are. The room fell silent again. Because those words carried a deeper meaning. People can admire achievements. People can respect success. But when they value who you are as a person, that reaches a completely different level. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. They continued speaking. They talked about your character. Your determination. Your willingness to keep going. Your ability to remain hopeful when circumstances become difficult. And one by one, others started agreeing. Not because they were trying to be kind. Because they genuinely believed it. For years, you may have measured yourself using the wrong standards. You may have focused on what has not happened yet. You may have compared your journey to someone else's timeline. You may have overlooked the qualities that make you unique. But during that meaningful conversation, people saw those qualities clearly. And they were not afraid to say it. Then came the biggest surprise of all. Someone asked a question. A question that changed everything. They asked, "What do you think the future holds for them?" At first, nobody answered. Then one person smiled. Another nodded. Another looked thoughtful. And finally, responses began appearing. The answers were remarkable. People spoke about possibilities. They spoke about growth. They spoke about opportunities. They spoke about doors that have not opened yet. They spoke about chapters that have not been written yet. They spoke about potential that has not been fully revealed yet. And the most surprising thing? The confidence in their voices. It was not hesitation. It was belief. Real belief. The kind of belief that comes from watching someone's journey over time. The kind of belief that develops when people see strength repeatedly. The kind of belief that cannot be manufactured. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the final part of that conversation carried a message that deserves your attention. As the discussion came to a close, one person shared a thought that nobody could forget. They said that one day you will look back and realize that many of the things you worried about were actually preparing you for something greater. The room became quiet once again. Not because the conversation was ending. Because everyone was thinking about those words. Preparation. Growth. Transformation. Progress. The idea that today's challenges might be creating tomorrow's strength. The idea that today's uncertainty might be leading toward tomorrow's clarity. The idea that today's waiting season might be building tomorrow's opportunity. And somehow, everyone felt that message connected directly to you. So listen carefully, my beloved child. The meaningful conversation was surprising because it revealed something you may have forgotten. You are having a greater impact than you realize. You are stronger than you think. You are more valued than you know. And the story being written around your life is far from finished. There are chapters ahead that nobody can fully see yet. There are opportunities still approaching. There are moments still waiting. There are victories still being prepared. And if there is one thing that conversation made clear, it is this. The people who spoke about you did not see someone reaching the end of their journey. They saw someone standing at the beginning of something remarkable. So stay with that thought today. Carry it with you. Remember it when doubts appear. Remember it when progress feels slow. Remember it when the path ahead seems uncertain. Because sometimes the most surprising conversations reveal the most important truths. And the truth they shared about you was simple. Your story is still unfolding. Your best chapters are still ahead. And something extraordinary may be closer than you think. A moment arrived in that meaningful conversation that nobody expected, and what happened next completely changed the direction of everything that was being discussed. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At first, the conversation seemed complete. People had already shared their thoughts. Stories had already been told. Memories had already been brought forward. Yet suddenly, someone said, "There is one thing nobody has mentioned yet." The entire room became quiet. Everyone turned their attention toward that voice. Because something about the way those words were spoken felt different. It felt important. It felt significant. And most of all, it felt unfinished. The person paused for a moment and then said something that surprised everyone. They said, "I think they have no idea how many people are silently rooting for them." The room became still. Not because the statement was shocking. Because it was true. One by one, people started reflecting on those words. Some nodded immediately. Others smiled. A few looked down as if remembering moments that nobody else knew about. And suddenly, stories began to appear from places nobody expected. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. One person remembered watching you continue moving forward during a difficult season. Another remembered seeing you remain patient when others would have become frustrated. Someone else remembered how you encouraged people even when you yourself were carrying challenges. As these stories continued, a pattern began to emerge. Every person was describing a different event. Every person was sharing a different memory. Yet somehow they were all reaching the same conclusion. You have been influencing people far more than you realize. Then something happened that completely changed the atmosphere. A person who had remained silent for most of the conversation finally spoke. This individual was known for speaking only when something truly mattered. Everyone listened carefully. Their words were slow, thoughtful, powerful. They said, "Most people are noticed because of what they accomplish. But they are remembered because of who they become." The room fell silent. Those words seemed to settle into everyone's mind at the same time. Because in that moment, people were no longer discussing what you had done. They were discussing the person you had become. And that realization carried extraordinary weight. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The conversation then moved in a direction nobody anticipated. People began discussing qualities that cannot be measured. Character, integrity, consistency, compassion, determination. The kinds of qualities that often go unnoticed in daily life. Yet during that conversation, they became impossible to ignore. Someone said that you continue showing up even when circumstances are not ideal. Someone else said that your resilience inspires people more than you know. Another person said that your ability to remain hopeful has encouraged others during moments when they felt uncertain. And with every statement, the picture became clearer. The image people carried of you was far greater than you imagined. But the most surprising revelation had not happened yet. Do not skip. Because what happened next changed everything. A question appeared. A simple question. Yet it stopped the entire conversation. Someone asked, "What is the greatest thing they do without realizing it?" For a moment, nobody answered. The silence felt meaningful. People were thinking, reflecting, searching through memories. Then finally someone responded. They said, "They remind people that good things are still possible." The room immediately reacted. Heads nodded. Expressions changed. Several people agreed at once. Because they had witnessed it themselves. Not through grand speeches. Not through dramatic moments. But through ordinary interactions that quietly carried extraordinary impact. And suddenly everyone understood something important. You had become a source of encouragement in ways that could not be measured. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then another person shared a memory that nobody expected. They described a moment when they were ready to abandon an important goal. They felt discouraged. They felt exhausted. They felt uncertain about the future. Yet during that season, they remembered watching you continue moving forward. That observation changed their perspective. Not because you gave them instructions. Not because you knew what they were facing. Simply because your example spoke louder than words. The room became emotional. Because everyone realized something powerful. Sometimes people are inspired by what you say. But often they are inspired by what you consistently do. And that realization created a completely different energy within the conversation. The focus was no longer on isolated moments. The focus was on your lasting influence. Then came the revelation nobody saw coming. Because many people believed you underestimated your own journey. You focused on what still needed to happen. Others focused on how far you had already come. You focused on goals that remained unfinished. Others focused on growth that was already visible. You focused on obstacles. Others focused on strength. And in that moment, the conversation revealed a truth that had been hiding in plain sight. The people around you see progress even when you cannot. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the discussion moved forward, one final story emerged. A story that nobody had heard before. It came from someone who had observed quietly from a distance. They explained that for a long time they had watched your journey unfold. They had seen your victories. They had seen your challenges. They had seen moments of confidence. They had seen moments of uncertainty. And after observing everything, they reached a conclusion. A conclusion that stunned the room. They said, the best chapter of their story has not happened yet. The room became silent once more. Because everyone felt the truth behind those words. There was a sense that something important was approaching. A sense that your journey was still unfolding. A sense that what lies ahead could be greater than anything behind. And that feeling remained long after the conversation ended. So listen carefully. What they shared about you during that meaningful conversation was surprising because it revealed something most people never get to hear. Your presence matters. Your journey matters. Your growth matters. Your story matters. And while you may not see every life you touch, the impact is real. While you may not hear every encouraging word spoken about you, those words exist. While you may not fully understand your influence today, one day the full picture will become clear. Until then, keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep growing. Because if that conversation proved anything, it is this. Many people see a future for you that is brighter than you imagine. And the most surprising part of all? They believe your greatest moments are still ahead. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Because something huge is waiting for you. An unexpected realization emerged near the end of that meaningful conversation, and what happened next left everyone thinking long after the discussion was over. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The conversation had already revealed surprising stories. It had already uncovered hidden perspectives. Yet there was still one question nobody had answered. A question so powerful that it changed the entire atmosphere. Someone finally asked, if all of this is true, why do they still doubt themselves sometimes? The room became silent. Not because nobody had an answer. Because everyone had one. And each answer revealed something extraordinary. One person said that people who care deeply often carry invisible questions within themselves. Another said that people who continue growing are usually focused on how far they still want to go rather than how far they have already come. Someone else smiled and said something unforgettable. They are still looking for proof of something everyone else can already see. The room became quiet once again. Those words carried a truth that nobody could ignore. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the discussion continued, people began sharing observations that had never been spoken aloud before. One person explained how they had watched you face situations that would have discouraged many others. Another described moments when they expected you to stop trying, yet you kept moving forward. Someone else remembered a season when things appeared uncertain, but your determination never disappeared. Each memory added another piece to the puzzle. And suddenly everyone realized something. Your strength was not built during easy moments. It was built during moments when nobody knew what would happen next. That realization changed the conversation completely. Because people were no longer talking about isolated events. They were talking about a pattern. A pattern of resilience. A pattern of growth. A pattern of quiet determination. And then came the most surprising statement yet. A voice from the other side of the room said, "I think something remarkable is approaching for them." The room immediately reacted. Not because it sounded dramatic. Because everyone seemed to feel the same thing. There was a shared belief that your story was moving toward an important chapter. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. One by one, people began explaining why they felt that way. Some talked about the lessons you had learned. Others talked about the experience you had gained. Several people mentioned the personal growth they had witnessed. And together those observations created a powerful conclusion. Nothing you have experienced has been wasted. Every challenge taught something. Every lesson added something. Every step prepared something. And according to the people in that conversation, all of those pieces are beginning to connect. The discussion then shifted toward the future. Not predictions. Not guesses. Possibilities. People started imagining what could happen if you continued moving forward with the same determination that had brought you this far. The answers were astonishing. Some believed new opportunities would appear. Others believed meaningful breakthroughs were closer than they seemed. Several believed that doors currently invisible would eventually become impossible to miss. But one statement stood above all the others. Someone said, "The most surprising thing about their future is that it may arrive differently than they expect." The room became thoughtful. Because everyone understood the meaning behind those words. Sometimes the greatest opportunities do not arrive in the forms we imagine. Sometimes the best chapters begin when we least expect them. Sometimes the answers we seek appear through completely unexpected paths. And that idea stayed with everyone. Do not skip. Because the next revelation carried even more weight. A person who had listened quietly throughout the conversation finally decided to speak. They said they had noticed something unique about your journey. Whenever people discussed your future, they focused on possibilities. Whenever people discussed your present, they focused on growth. But whenever people discussed your character, they spoke with certainty. That observation immediately captured everyone's attention. Because possibilities involve hope. Growth involves progress. But certainty involves evidence. And according to the people in that conversation, there was no uncertainty about the qualities they saw in you. They saw perseverance. They saw kindness. They saw courage. They saw consistency. They saw potential. And they believed those qualities would continue creating opportunities in ways that could not yet be measured. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the conversation approached its conclusion, one final story emerged. A story nobody expected. It came from a person who had never shared their thoughts about you before. When they finally spoke, the entire room listened. They described watching your journey from a distance. They explained how they had observed both successes and setbacks. They had seen victories. They had seen challenges. They had seen uncertainty. They had seen progress. And after observing everything, they reached a conclusion that surprised everyone. They said, "The most remarkable thing about them is not what they have achieved so far." The room leaned in. Everyone waited. The pause felt endless. Then they continued. "The most remarkable thing is who they are becoming." Silence filled the room. A meaningful silence. The kind of silence that appears when people hear something they know is true. Because achievements can be celebrated. Milestones can be recognized. Success can be admired. But personal growth is something deeper. And according to everyone present, your growth had become impossible to ignore. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As people reflected on everything that had been shared, a final realization began spreading through the room. The conversation had started with curiosity. It had moved through memories. It had uncovered surprising truths. But it ended with confidence. Confidence in your future. Confidence in your journey. Confidence in the qualities people see within you. And perhaps most importantly, confidence in the chapters that have not yet been written. That confidence became the lasting message of the entire discussion. Not because anyone claimed to know exactly what comes next, but because everyone agreed on one thing. Your story is still unfolding. There is more ahead. More growth. More opportunities. More lessons. More victories. More moments that will make sense only when you look back and see how everything connected. And that is why what they shared about you during that meaningful conversation was so surprising. Because the discussion revealed a truth that many people spend years trying to discover. You are already making a difference. You are already growing. You are already becoming the person you were meant to become. And if the people in that conversation were right, then something extraordinary may be much closer than you think. So keep moving forward. Keep believing. Keep growing. Because the conversation ended with one final thought that nobody could forget. Your greatest chapter may not be behind you. It may be the chapter that is about to begin. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you.